thank you, Van, for the time to
You're
talk
very
to
welcome.
us. So the first thing is, would you like to introduce yourself? Because I was very curious now. Of course, you run the agency, but you came from an agency background. So if you want to just say how you started the
Okay.
journey.
Okay. So as you know, like I have I have the agency background. So I work for different international agency before. But at that time, when we start to have different digital projects, is as a leader of the projects, it's such a painful time for me to find a good digital agency. So every time that we run into problems and every time we struggle to realize a idea or an execution that we are very passionate about, I always have that burning desire to find a really, really good digital agency that can work together with us at that point to execute the campaign. And then at one point I just asked my partner, like, we could do a good job. We could do a good job on this segment, and that's why we decided to get together and start Circus.
So this was when you were at Saatchi or
That's when I was at Publicist.
Publicist?
Yeah,
And
so I was
that's-
about 5 years into my agency journeys.
That's good. So you're not too late into it
I'm
to
not
be
too late.
like captured by it. And your partner was Hui, though. Who is your?
Hui and Ngọc. So originally there were 3 of us. So I was the account lead. They were the creative team that worked together. So we lead the art side and Ngọc lead the copy side. So we were the perfect team to start because we have almost the expertise that we need. So yeah, that was starting point.
And that was what?
That was 12 years ago.
But so you started the agency as a digital
As a digital.
agency, but is it still a digital agency? Do you say?
It's an everything agency now.
So it's evolved.
No, what I realized after is that yes, we focus on the channel, like digital channel at that point, like online, banner ad back in the day, and then Facebook, social media after. But our core experience and expertise is still like very much brand building, above the line communication. So I think we are the first generation that has that blend of expertise. So I think that was the reason for us to establish quite quickly and make our name in the market as well, because we are the first people who put those expertise together. To blend it into a campaign or into a communication strategy.
And that's changed, you think, now?
That's changed a lot to now. So even now, I would have to say on certain projects, on certain client, on certain brief, it's us who have to back down. Because our new generation now has certain skill on social media, certain skill on e-commerce and so on, that personally we were not able to catch up together with them. So it changed a lot in terms of channels. It changed a lot in terms of how the generation nowadays look, feel, and consume advertising content and content in general. So yeah, I do think that it changed a lot.
And a little bit about the agency, because initially it was only Circus, right? But then you also launched a few other companies.
Yeah.
The purpose of that, if you want to share that journey.
I would say like this. If I had to introduce myself, I would introduce myself as a devoted partners. So my way to approach anything in life is to build a very solid partnership. And that becomes the way we do business too. So I always feel shy to introduce myself as a founder of this, as a creator of that, because it's not me who do that. It's me and my partners. So I never venture into something alone. So that's why when we establish Circus together, we have certain expertise, we have certain thing. When we run the agency business, we realize. But at the same time, we found other partners that can work really well with us, that we trust them, that they have the expertise of their own, that also want to start something for themselves. So that's why we start, Carnival, we start XYZ Saigon, for the same reason, is that we found the partnership together. and then we can bring different expertise on the table. So I would not say that I launched different things. I would say that I found different partners.
So Circus is the digital first agency.
Yeah.
So Carnival is kind of the same?
Carnival has a really strong expertise in production.
Okay.
So at one point where you have to turn around really fast to produce content nowadays, Carnival come in with a very different set of skill. So if you imagine Circus as someone who can blend, a borderline strategy, branding strategy together with like a roadmap to go on social media, to go on digital channel, then Carnival have that expertise of turning around and making into content really quick, really fast with a good quality. And that also answer a lot of demands from clients nowadays. XYZ Saigon is pretty much a boutique team that really focus on one or two projects at one time. So if you go to agency now, very much you would have the team working on several projects at the same time. But XYZ would operate in a different way. They would have 2 or 3 projects and then they decline or other opportunities come to the door because they have to focus their very boutique team and energy and resource into that few campaigns that they have at hand. So that again to say that my role is pretty much to bring the partner together. But then each partner, they have their own way of doing things and they have their own way of making things good in a very different way. So that is why even though we are 3 different agencies, our client profile are very different.
And just for my information also and whoever is interested, how do you maintain partnership? The question more is about like trust or the values about how you choose your partners and how the relationships have like maintained over the years. I understand Hui and Nop, maybe you knew each other before, but when new partners come in, how do you match your values with their values and how do you decide if they're a good fit or not? Like what's your thought process there?
I think it took us about 11 years to boil down into 3 main keywords. So the first one is expertise. We have to bring something on the table. So, and the other person had to respect us in that expertise. Because I think without a true value that the other partner respect you for, that partner cannot carry on for a long time, because eventually when you talk about emotional benefit and functional benefit, functional benefit it still has to be the base, it has to be covered. So that what I would call expertise. So each of us in a partnership, we have to respect the other person for the expertise that they bring on the table, not only in business but also in personal relationship as well. And then the second keyword for us, that would be responsibilities, which means that each of us with our expertise carry different loads, and we cannot expect the other person to push us to carry our load. Like we have to carry our load ourselves. So we have to be extremely independent in that sense in a relationship. So in a relationship, what we would expect is that the other person is very independent to carry their responsibility. So that's the second keyword that we really, really live up to. And 2 of that cannot work if we lack of the last, but the most important thing that you mentioned, trust. So, but I think if you respect the other person for the expertise that they have, if you trust that the other person will carry their responsibility, then you pretty much can open everything. So for us to maintain the relationship, that the 3 keywords that we always live up to. So we try to be transparent on everything, financial, promise, the plan, the struggle. So we try to be very honest and truthful to each other as well.
In that journey, have you come like in choosing your partners? I'm sure you may have also rejected partners, right? And that's based on that criteria you say, right? Like you don't see eye to eye on on those values.
And often that we, when we decide to become partners, we have a period of time that we get to know each other as well. So it's very difficult for someone to knock on the door and tell me that, hey, I meet all the criteria, let's be a partner. It's all those expertise, responsibility and trust is also needs that ingredient of time.
Behaviors, right? You need to see that through behavior.
Yeah, we need to so we do have different partnership that doesn't turn out into be a long-term partnership. But what happens is that with those criteria, even when it cannot be a long-term partnership, we part way in a very respectful and like we still hold each other in high regard. Instead of part way and then throw the relationship under the bus and things like that. So I do find it's helpful to find partners to go a very long way with you, but you also have to be respectful and trust and like just maintain the relationship if you cannot go a long way, and that happens more often than finding someone that you can go a long way with.
That's what I'm going through now, I guess. So what are the differences between the multinationals and the local clients?
Honestly, I think the difference, the gap of difference, I would not say which one is better or than the other one, but the difference is getting smaller and smaller. The reason is like if you talk about 18 years, 20 years ago when I start my journey in advertising, right? Then you have a lot of expats working in high position in big international corporation, but you will see the wave of Vietnamese talent, holding those type of position right now. So there are still different procedure. There are still different way to make decision. There are still different way to come through different ideas and like build a campaign. Having said that, I would see that the difference coming closer and closer together. So international corporation is becoming more local, whereby local client becoming more international, and I see the gap is the is the closing in recent years.
But in terms of the the appreciation for strategic like brand building or an approach to like marketing, do you see that difference closing up as well?
It's closing up. You still see that for international corporation, what they would value is like a very holistic planning, in which you have to see a very full pictures, and whereby for Vietnamese we need the client need smart solution, I say. But then again, it's closing up and closing up. So I would say like before we would think of Vietnamese clients who go often for tactics, but now you would start to see that they really look into the big picture, they look into a long-term approach as well. At the same time you see that international clients start to demand for like smart solution, not just buy the book kind of approach.
My experience, of course, being here is that a lot of these local clients a bit too centralized. Don't you think? Like the founder or the owner has such a big approval or a voice that everyone just follows what the owner or the founder says. For local companies, is it still the case where a lot of influence is by how the decision maker wants things done? Is it still that way?
I saw the same thing in any kind of setup. It's really depend on the leadership of that company. So even in some certain international client, you also have that very personal approach where one person would make every small decision, and I think that the leadership style instead of whether it's local or international. So I do see it's in every setup. I do see that approach in every setup. At the same time, I also see that embracement. That decentralized decision-making process happen in all kinds of setup. So yeah, I would say that the leadership style of a certain different companies. And what you say is true, but it's a part, not all.
Yeah, because based on the values that you have for your own company, like respect, responsibility, expertise, and trust. Like I wish more local entrepreneurs gave more autonomy to smart people to manage things more than making every single decision. Like I have an experience with one of the big noodle companies. The dad owns the business for like 30-40 years, the son has studied in the US. He's come back. He's in the business, but he can't make any decision. Even though he wants to improve brand and improve the way things are done in his mind, the dad still wants to do everything his way. So it's that balance, I think, of having done things and things have worked, and just want to stay without doing too much experimentation. So one thing I want to ask you, point about the quality of briefing. In my view, at least, most briefs are bad. To be very honest, like I don't think people put much effort into good briefs. But how would you go about improving briefs? Like what's lacking in briefs that you get today?
I think what difficult for now for us is that briefing is not standardized anymore. Before, back in 20 years ago, when you talk about objective or you talk about, like key messages, people kind of understand it in the same way. So you have a standardized kind of language and kind of understanding about certain things, where I think it's not the case nowadays anymore. We might use the same words, but the understanding of the same word is very different.
As an example?
For example, if you talk about objective, right? Before we would, like when it comes to us, it would be communication objective. Right.
Yeah.
But objective, it could be business objective, it could be marketing objective, it could be campaign objective. Like there's so many different objectives now, and that often get put in a different way into like a brief for advertising agency nowadays. So what I rely on now to get to navigate through that, because I don't think that we can change the whole industry, and it's more that what do we do to cope with the change. So the change now that is not standardized anymore, the same language can be very different. So what we really focus on is that we have to have very senior people sitting on the briefing section. And we treat the briefing section as a brief, not the brief itself.
Sure.
So we try to talk, even like the follow-up is also part of the brief. So the job of the planner, of the creative lead or account lead nowadays is like they have to be appear in the briefing section, and they have to talk to client to really understand what can be later become the agency brief. So our approach is that we need to navigate all through of that. But in our place, in our agency, we have to be able to pull all of that into a proper brief. So that's our approach to the current market demands. That's why whenever I go, there's a lot of time that people are surprised to see me in a briefing section. And they're like, oh, you're a CEO, why you still go into the brief? But for me, that's the most important part. Yeah. You have to understand client needs, you have to understand the difficulty that they have to be able later to present something good. Like when they do presentation, sometimes I don't appear. But because I trust the team, they know the work that they do. But a lot of time, my partners as a creative lead, as a planning lead, Ngọc, my partner as a creative lead, they themselves will sit in the briefing section to make sure that they really listen. And they really able to decode what is needed to be done. And later putting that together into a brief is our responsibility nowadays.
Yeah, I always believe the briefing is probably more important than the brief.
Yeah.
Like that
Totally.
face-to-face chat is probably more important.
Yeah.
Which is not very appreciated enough.
I totally agree. And that a lot of time when we come into the brief nowadays, you see you have the team of 2-3 junior person come in and pull out the mobile phone and then record the whole section and bring back for the people at home to digest that section. But the quality of the brief is as good as your quality of your question.
Sure.
So like being there, asking the right question, showing the right approach right at the briefing, testing different angle, that's why our pitch winning ratio is rather high, I think, compared to the average. Is because we don't take it lightly when we come in receiving a brief.
And clients are open to involve you in the business usually. So I'm assuming a lot of pitching is what goes on, right, before you get an account. Is the client open to involving the agency in the business, like sharing data, like obviously the in and outs of the business? Are they open to, or do they still have a barrier between the agency and the client?
I think if you ask nicely, they would be more open. To what point we cannot say, because there's some certain confidentiality, and the pitching process is still like out open in the public, right? So they cannot say too much. But if you genuinely want to understand the problem, people love to talk about problems. So I think if you genuinely interested on like what is the real problem, people love to say. So at least if we don't have the data, if we don't have the very clear true business issue, we know the sentiment out of it. We know what they are gearing to. So I think if you genuinely care for the problem, you will understand a part of the problems.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, like my experience here is like brand managers here are not senior enough or sophisticated enough. I would say mostly, not all, but that they don't understand the problem to solve. And I think that's the core problem for an agency brief. You need to have like a very clear one line what you are solving. And if the client is not willing to bring the agency in to agree on that together, I think it's not such a good outcome.
It can take several steps to get there. So nowadays there's no more, just one round of presenting and then you award with the whole brand or the whole projects.
They can do multiple rounds now.
We had to do multiple rounds now. And what we often do, not always, but what we often do is that we would have a tissue section or a follow-up with a briefing,
right.
To get to talk more, to get to understand more. Even though it could be the case that the team facing agency are the junior teams, so maybe they don't have the full picture, but they see things. They hear things. They know the concern. They know why their job are difficult. So through that, we kind of not really understand truly deeply the business problem, but we can outline the zone of the problem, which I think on the first or two round of a presentation, if you hit that zone, is already good enough. So that our approach.
Just a question that I ask everyone: do you think agencies know the client's business well enough?
Less and less, unfortunately.
And because of?
I think the way we work with client before is, and I don't blame this on client, don't get me wrong, but the way we work with client before is through retainer kind of relationship.
Right.
So client feel more secure with the agency. That as you say, I remember we would sit on like the report, the business report, right, the brand report. So we got a lot of insight, a lot of data, and with that we understand the business more. But now business have to operate different way, and then more and more we have project-based kind of brief, and with project-based kind of brief, it's very difficult for you to get to the bottom of things. But then again, you have the problem at hand. You have the problem at hand of that campaign. So I would say for that problem at hand, we would be able to understand it very well through our approach of briefing and clarifying and chatting with client. But to solve the core business issue is less than before.
But why do you think that shift happened? I think, like I was also agency side, right? Like, I don't know, 10, 12 maybe years ago. I don't know when that happened, where from awards to retainers, it suddenly went to just project based. Why did that happen, do you think?
You also on client side.
Yeah, but on client side, when I was at least on the client side, I can't remember any project based pitching. Like we always awarded, there was a pitch, but then the brand was given to one agency, and everything on that brand was done by that agency for the next 2 years or whatever. Like we never pitched campaign by campaign. Like I remember Nutriboost went to Low, Coke was with CBS or Ogilvy. Like we didn't ever do campaign pitches. But why did that happen? Is it procurement? Is it lack of trust or capabilities?
I think lucky for us, honestly, and I feel lucky every day, thank you my clients, is that we still maintain about 60 to 70% of retainer clients. And for the rate of 30%, we go on project-based pitching. But what I see is that it's go back to the partnership things. And if the partnership fall apart, it's not the issue of one person. So it's not the issue of the client, or it's not the issue of the agency. I think the principle of maybe the expertise were not sold enough. That's why client don't see why I need to be in relationship with the agency that doesn't show me the expertise, right? Or it could be coming from the responsibilities. Could be the client feel like I don't have the responsibility to share with you things. But over time, when they don't share with us, certain things, the relationship fall apart as well. And then the pressure of price, the pressure of cost, the pressure of checking different vendors, comparing different vendors is also cause the damage on the trust as well. So I think when the relationship of client and agency fall apart in the recent years that you see, I would not blame it on the agency side, or I would not blame it on the client side. I just think that the three principles that we try to maintain, and we still be able to maintain about 60 and 70% of our business on retainer, is really that you have to show up in a partnership manner.
Yeah.
And like I from agency side, but I saw agency who demand client to treat them as partners without showing up with the same expertise, with the same responsibilities. And a lot of time I do see agency falling asleep when they have a retainer client.
Yeah, sure.
At the same time, I also see client treat the agency differently too, as someone who use for short term.
Yeah.
Then when you treat agency like that, you don't get the best out of them, and you don't get the best bang for your bucks.
Yeah.
So I think it's as complicated as life. It's a relationship that has to be maintained, and it has to come from both sides.
Yeah, I think in my view, one of the reasons for the deterioration in the quality of work is this constant pitching, because every 3 months you have a new person working on the account or the brand. And the client side people move, so there's no consistency in any of the work. Today's campaign will look some completely different to next year's campaign.
Agency side too, the turnover on agency is really high. So if you maintain a retainer agency, and after 1 year have to brief the whole team the new thing again, and you don't get the best out of that partnership. So I think again it's coming back. My take is that Vietnam has gone through a really hot period of development where everything is growing really fast. And honestly, it's very difficult to maintain a relationship when everything is moving and changing so fast as well. But I do believe that over time it will settle, I hope. And I do believe that even in this time nowadays, approaches as a business partner, it has to be the corner on the corner of agency side. So treat every project as the beginning of a long-term relationship. Maybe 80% of it will go out of the way, but at least say goodbye in a happy term.
Right.
But that 20% can pretty much turn into your 80% of business of retainer client. Because I see a lot of like in Vietnamese we have the saying of ăn bánh trả tiền, meaning you eat the cake and then you pay for the cake. And that becomes the attitude of the seller, which is the agency too. And if you approach it like that, you will just have the client who come in, who pay you for the cake. Yeah.
So just moving on to people, since you said turnover and everything is high, how do you hire?
Very interesting question.
And how do you retain?
We have the period of time where we would go through crisis of turnover. People would leave. Like after a year, I look back at the picture of the agency and I see like all the face already almost changed. So about 6 years ago, we really put together a proper HR journey and planning, and that changed since then. So I think a lot
But
of
what did you do?
agencies.
Sorry, may I ask? What is that? What is that plan?
So we put together a clear training program. We put together a clear recruitment. We put together a clear way to evaluate people and to develop people. And I see the impact right away. I have the experience working for international agency, right? And I had my experience of working for local agency before, and then I had my experience of building my own agency. What I see lacking everywhere in agency world is a proper HR program, and that's such a pity because that's the business of people.
Yeah, sure.
Even with my previous job in international agency, we don't have a clear HR procedure. We don't have a clear way of evaluate people. Like we don't have a clear. I myself didn't experience a clear proper training program, and that's why people leave. That's why people don't see the bonding. Unless in my case is that I met an excellent boss that I really enjoy working with her, so I was able to stay at one place for a long time. And that what happened when we start our business here, naive and don't know anything and copying pretty much everything of what we saw before. But when we start to have our own experience, I do see and I do encourage whoever agency leader looking this, you have to have a good HR program.
And that's worked for you to retain?
That works for us.
And
that worked for us. That worked for us in terms like we know who are the people we want. What type of people would suitable to us, and we would see that certain people that we want to build and to promote from within, we would be able to spend time and effort to spend time with them, to work with them, to help them grow the best as well.
So who champions that at your side, at your end?
It's a collective effort, I would say. So all of us, all the founders. Chip in on building the training program. And then I would champion certain process, but everything I do, I would ask opinion and I would ask input from everyone. But now we already have, I'm very happy with HR admin team that very capable, and then we work alongside with them. And at the beginning, though, I would share with you is that we would think that we outsource it. We would think that we would ask someone in and help us to build the culture. And eventually, it's come from you. Yeah.
I think I tell my clients also this a lot. Building any brand, whether it's your agency brand, product brand, like authenticity matters. If it doesn't come from you, you cannot outsource that. You cannot outsource your identity, your values. So that's a good thing.
And one time, it's really inspired me. That working on a Coke campaign actually. So on a Coke campaign, and I would sit there and another agency was presenting, and the presenter of that agency said a sentence that sit with me till this day, that there's no boring brand, only boring people. So that I remind myself and I remind my staff and my team all the time, there's no boring brief, honestly. It's only, if you decide this brief is boring, it's on you. But the brief itself is always carry a problem, and it's your job to see an exciting solution or exciting problem to solve. We try not to be a boring people.
How did Hui make the transition from being creative to planning?
How did
Hui make the move from creative to planning?
Okay, that's the result of our HR program.
Okay, so the career trajectory or a planning, identified that or?
Yeah, so actually when we go through the building the model of HR and building the model of training, we start to look back at ourselves and we realize that we actually have all the quality of a planners. And if we didn't do that HR program, we wouldn't discover one of the most senior person in the office, right, is sitting in the wrong position. So we, as you know, starting, and I would love to keep this part in because it's interesting. So we start as he went through education in advertising and creativity. So his path has always been creative. From starting the job, he's the art director and so on, and established us. He's the ECD, the creative lead, and but we would. Over time, we just feel something, like we could use him more, but we don't know how. And we feel like we could motivate him more, but we don't know how. Until we put together that training program, when we would have personal coach go in and discover and discuss with us on the strength that we have. And then it's come in a moment like that, and I just read a report of Huy, and I talk to him. Huy, you are a planner, and then he's like, now I think that I'm a planner. So at that point, I told him like, how about you take over the planning? And he just told me, give me a month, and he need that month to go back to structure of everything, to see himself in the position. And after the month, he told me that I'm ready. And then he moved to the planning position. So that's the interesting part of when we often think of HR as hiring, right, and firing in some case. But when you have a really good HR program, you discover that you can place people in their right position, and that is where we move to the planning and comfortably and happily sitting there in the position.
Happy.
I hope he's not miserable. What I can tell you.
That's a good thing. That's a good what's the word? Like also a good example for everyone. Because if the founders can do that, then I'm sure it's an inspiration for the staff. To
And it's just interesting because at that point he is 40 years old. And been doing that one pathway all the way, and it's get him to success, right? If you put it in that sense, he has his team. He won awards. He created his own agency, and then suddenly you still see that there's potential to work on. So for people who are in mid-career crisis, it's also help a lot too.
On the point of creatives, I think Nox, your creative lead, right? Do you think creatives are too obsessed with doing something new all the time?
Not enough, I would say.
Why is that? Because I have a different point of view. I always say like something new is not always necessary. Because one of the big problems in brand marketing or whatever now is consistency. Like doing something for 40 years is how brands were built, right? So we try to change too many things. But so why do you say not enough?
Because everything is changing so fast. So what I would say, yes, we do need that consistency at heart. But then the surface of it, right, the facade of it, it's changing so much. And it's changing together with the media, changing together with social media, changing together with all the generation are growing up and shaping the new culture. So actually we would ask our creative to understand the core, but always know how to project that core value into different facet of what is, like capture audience attention nowadays. So I always feel that it's not enough because I always see something new coming out that audience is really enjoyed. Like last year with 5 years ago we would talk about 6-second video. Now we talk about KOL live streaming. Like every year now you have something new that up and coming. So the agility of a creative person who can juggle all of that, that still stay faithful and still able to project the objective, to project the key message through different facets is I think essential skill for creative nowadays. Even more than before, I find.
You think so?
I think so.
That's fair. I think the landscape, like the tactics have changed.
Yeah, and it changed so fast.
But I still question if like the business really needs too much change over consistency or stability. But whatever.
No, but I think I totally agree with you actually. That at the heart, at the core, is need that consistency. But then to project that heart and that core, like you have the same brain here, right? Function you as a
Right.
person. But then you have to project yourself in so different medium. Then you need to really quickly adapt and know how to project yourself truthfully.
So how does the agency keep in line with all that's going on?
I think it's the agency business. It's
But
the
how?
agency.
Like, what are the tools that you use? Like, is it hiring younger, newer, fresher people, or is there like a media influence? Like, I remember I was at Coke. I can't remember 2012, 2013, around that time, when Gangnam Style, that song came out and it blew up. And at that time, the social and like e-commerce was not so sophisticated. And I remember everyone at Coke saying, "How did we miss this guy?" It's like, but how do you keep in line with trends so that you can play in that? How does an agency do that?
I think this is a secret to stay young too.
That's yeah, that's
Is that
true.
you have to stay curious and not judging. A lot of time when we as a senior person, we have the tendency of judging the new thing.
Yeah,
Like
that's
remember TikTok 5 years ago, everyone would look at it and you can say, oh,
It's a waste of time.
it's a waste of time, and still nowadays. But then TikTok become increasingly important in communication. So I think not only me, myself, and everyone here, we love to gossip. We love to stay updated. We love to try new things, and we try not to judge. We try not to judge that thread is like that or TikTok is like that. We just curious to see how it goes there, and that also the secret of staying young.
Yeah.
Because the moment you say that, oh, the young people nowadays, they are not, you become the old person in the story.
That's true. And also looking back and saying, like Chris said this also, like, I did it better in my day, or like when you're trying to compare things in the past, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
There's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know you have clients, so maybe you can't really say, but generically, from an agency side, what would be the advice you would give a brand manager, or like what are they not seeing? Because I remember in the past, like a lot of agency side people will become brand managers and jump that side, right? But now I see a lot of brand managers don't have the experience from the agency side. So from your side, what would you say is a good client that you would expect from the agency? Like what is that kind of profile of a person?
That's a very good question, and I think I need to reflect on that. I think I would retain myself from giving advice, right? Because I'm not in their position, so I cannot say the best. But I would capture on what you say. What I wish to have as a client is that I would not wish to have an easy client, honestly. And I think in my career, I learned most from clients who are challenge the work of agency. But what I would demand, not only ask, but what I would demand is the respect. So when you want to, and I think this apply for client, and it's really if all the client would have a leadership kind of training, because treating agency do need a leadership skill. So it's not it's like I love challenge. Like I love people who challenge me and who make me rethink my own way of thinking. But then I realize that agency people are just very sensitive people. So if you know how to challenge, but at the same time give them the motivation, you just get the most out of your budget paying the agency. So I would wish to have a client who challenge our work in a respectful manner. So I think that would be enough for me to consider that is a great client to work on. And I would not wish an easy client who approve everything we does, because I do think that like teamwork from agency and client make the best work. So yeah, I think challenging in a respectful manner is what I wish to have in all of the clients.
Are there clients you would not work with?
They are. But I would say it's more on our personal value point of view.
Do you want to share those?
Certain thing, for example, I would never work for a tobacco kind of brand because I think it's a harmful product and it's not good for anyone who consume it. And we don't want to use our talent, our brain to go behind a product that we believe that it's harmful for everyone.
Society also.
Yeah, for society. So it's more coming from our personal code of conduct. Rather than certain things such as budget attitude. I'm willing to work with anyone, honestly, if they are challenging enough and they are respectful enough. Yeah. So we have like tobacco, and we have like strong alcohol. We do beer though because we think beer is very fun to work on,
okay.
And it's okay. It's okay to let loose. Just don't like strong alcohol, tobacco is something that personally would not touch.
And what's your opinion now on like this brand marketing versus performance marketing, and is that helpful? How is the agency dealing with requests that come in?
I read the other day a post of a friend on Facebook who also a very seasoned marketers, and he hate the word performance marketing because it indicates that other marketing doesn't perform,
Right.
which is not true.
Yeah.
So I think the term is misleading. Every marketing things we do has to perform one way or the other. So I also agree with him that the term is very misleading in the sense that is the only way that it would perform. So I think it's one of the way, but together with that traditional way of marketing, traditional way of brand building is still the fundamental that we need to know and we need to master before we start to play with other shiny tools that we have nowadays. Yeah.
And clients share that view, or other clients also like requesting for these shiny new things at the expense of all the basics they should be doing?
On certain cases, yes, but I think with the like our client, I would say often it's a top tier in the market, so they get to top tier in the market for good reason.
Right.
So yeah, we actually like to play with all the shiny, like cool nowadays objectives. Only when we know our base. So we try to work that with client as well.
And what's your view of procurement, having got that involved in the business?
I have honestly mixed point of view because I myself we start to have a procurement team.
Really?
In our agency. So I do see a lot of value that procurement brings. It's get together the buying power, right? And they understand more the market. They don't get emotional when choosing a supplier. They put together a very clear, rationale how to choose, criteria on how to choose a supplier. But at the same time, it's a people business. So yes, it can make sense totally on the paper and on the scoring metrics, but then you still need to have that relationship going on when you work with the brand team, and so I think on that sense, it's not where the procurement excel.
But in the experience you have with local procurement, do they account for chemistry? No. So it's very rational of actual criteria.
Yeah.
So they don't like have a chemistry session, or they don't account for people's skills.
Or it would be wording in a very logical manner. But then marketing, brand building, agency communication is really the people business. You need to enjoy working with that team, to be able to produce a good work. And I think that often get overlooked by the process of the procurement.
Yeah. So that's not a criteria right now in the evaluation. Like
from client side, for us, yes.
But from a client side, no.
On the client side, no. But for us, when we build our procurement criteria right now, we do have what I would say chemistry.
Yeah.
Is that we would we would give our opinion and our feeling working with those people, and then we will see if we highly value them or not.
That's very strange. Huh? Like client side, they don't account for, like, even when we used to work. Remember when we have a film, we have 3 director reels or director treatments, and we choose based on the chemistry of working with the director. So that's something that could improve, right? Like the.
I think so. But then again, I imagine the people who sit on the top who have to approve all of that. They somehow have to make things simple and has to make things, streamlined in certain way. And I think, the role of procurement is to be able to streamline all of that complexity of human relationship for the top to make decision easier, I guess. Then is the reality nowadays is that chemistry or, that click between 2 teams is not a criteria.
That's often the most important thing is, unfortunately, the thing that gets overlooked, right? The people and the chemistry and.
But also, we could understand from their side of view how difficult it is to evaluate that. Not to mention all the negativity that can go along with that too, Yeah. So yeah, like I understand their difficulty, and I'm not against procurement, honestly. And the proof is that I'm myself building a procurement team.
My last question about the state of the industry. I have a point of view which
I'm very curious to hear your point of view too.
About the ad industry, like with award shows, the training. I don't think there is enough good benchmark setting, especially for our regional markets, right?
Totally agree.
Thailand might be an exception, but like Indonesia, Vietnam, I don't think talent pool today has a good enough benchmark to reach, or that we're not setting a good enough benchmark.
I think there's 2 things in what you say that I think actually for me, from my point of view, it's 2 different things. One thing that I totally agree with you, that we lack of award show that is inspiring. That I remember back in the day, right, when we look at Cannes or we would look at the one show, we would look at the work at all, we would look at the awards, and we would wish that one day we would have our name on those kind of awards. But nowadays, if you look at the same award, like Cannes and one show, you say like, what's going on? What has been going on in this industry? So I do think local and international, we need a new type of putting a word to the work that inspired the whole industry. So I totally agree with you on that. Having said that though, and this speaking from the experience, I do think that Vietnam has a quite unique talent pool. And the reason I'm saying this is because we start to get brief from regional. So for cost reason, at the beginning of it, is that we start to see regional clients searching for local Vietnamese firm to do regional work. But the office, the feedback that we often receive is that people was amazed of the quality of the work that we produce here. And this I'm speaking from Australia market, from European market, from Singapore market, from other markets. So I think the creative standard we have here is a good creative standard. Having said that, I do agree that we don't have a standardized kind of, industry. So I think our industry right now is pretty much everyone for this its own, and I myself include. I know circus, I build circus, but I couldn't make my time, give my time, or motivate myself to do something for the whole industry. And I really think that what is missing here, we have a lot of association, but the real people who do the job doesn't bother to join the association. You know what I mean? And so that's what I think is lacking.
Yeah, that's one thing, but I also think there are these websites like Advertising Vietnam, for example. If you go on there, all the articles are about foreign campaigns. You talk about Jaguar or talk about, there's absolutely no analysis of local brands and what local brands do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Either positive, there's no like critique. So that has to change to have some level of self-awareness. To the work might be good, the real work might be good, I think so, but I think it should get better by setting standards. Anything else to promote or talk about? What
Go to circus, go to carnival, go to XYZ.
XYZ Carnival. So why did you name it Circus Carnival? Because it's
There's no, honestly, people often ask, but we don't really have a strategic brand name. For circus, we just think that we kind of resemble a circus.
just want to have fun, enjoy.
Just want to have fun, enjoy the show, put on a performance, and everyone involved would feel the craft, would feel the quality of it. Carnival is the same spirit, you know, like we transform ourselves in the set. Like all of this meaning I'm telling you now is come after the name.
Sure.
We have
Always.
the name and then we build the meaning for it.
Yeah.
XYZ Saigon is honestly it's the name, the five names that I name. Like we don't have the name yet. We put XYZ, ABC,
Placeholder.
XYZ, and then we're like, okay, let's go that because we never know what come after. So XYZ is a good name.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't ask me about name. I don't have a good answer for it.
Thank you, Wan.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for the
Thank
time. My name is Ani. I am the host of the Heart and Mind podcast. After 28 years in advertising and marketing, I now run my own strategic brand consultancy called The Outwit Company, where we focus mostly on brand positioning, brand strategy, and brand architecture. So follow us, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.